Every woman deserves to feel vibrant, safe, loved, and feel her power. The Woman's Vibrancy Code podcast is here for a potent use of your time. We will cover energy, hormones, and libido with episodes that also dive into entrepreneurship, money mindset, feminine power, and much, much more. Introducing Maraya Brown, Yale and functional medicine trained women's health expert, midwife, mom, and entrepreneur.
Are you in your 40s? Are you noticing the viper is coming out a little bit more? And let's come up with some solutions. I want to help you understand what is happening, as well as some simple changes that you can start implementing today without a need for a prescription to actually really start feeling better. And what I know is it will make a difference in your relationships. It will make a difference in your household. It will make a difference in your working world. Because what happens for women as we go into our 40s and even starting as early as age 35, as I think about it through a hormonal perspective, what I want you to know is this is called the chapter of perimenopause. And yes, it starts as early as age 35. So you're not quite in menopause. The definition of menopause is once you've gone a full 12 months without a menstrual bleed, and the average age of menopause is 51 and a half. Okay. So some of you, I talk to women who are like, oh my gosh, I went into menopause at 43, and others, I'm 56 and I'm still bleeding, right? So ask your mother if she's accessible. Ask your sisters, your aunties if they're accessible when they started menopause. And what you can see is there is a general trend familially, if that's a word. And so perimenopause is this chapter before menopause. And so it's usually around age 35 to 50. Often in our late 30s, we're not necessarily noticing distinct changes. Maybe there's a little bit of changes in weight. Maybe there's a little bit of changes in skin. Maybe there's a little bit of changes in energy, exhaustion, libido, but it's subtle. And then once we cross over 40, it starts to shift a little bit. And then definitely beyond 45, that like last half of the perimenopause chapter is when I hear from women that are like, whoa, the PMS is intense. My irritability, especially the few days before I bleed, is like wild. I don't want to be, I want to kick my husband out. I want to quit my job. I feel like, why did I sign up for all of these things? I'm watching myself get in an argument with my sister, whatever it may be. You just feel like you just want to kind of like crawl out of your skin. And for those of you that are listening, if you can remember back to when you were a teenager, or if you happen to have teenage daughters, I think of puberty and perimenopause as the two bookends. They're very similar, okay? So what's happening is your estrogen is kind of starting to go all over the place. It will spike and then it will go down. You might even ovulate twice in a month or not ovulate at all. And then you're kind of bleeding haphazardly. Maybe you're bleeding more heavy. All of a sudden there's big clots. It's crampy. Like, what is going on? And then specifically, let's speak to the irritability. Here's the thing I want you to know. Ovulation is considered the main event. So once you ovulate, after ovulation is when progesterone is produced. Okay. Progesterone is that hormone that's like, helps you calm, feel good. It's a smooth muscle relaxant, helps you sleep. And so as we progress through our 40s, often what is happening is the progesterone is not being produced enough. There's a wider gap between the estrogen and the progesterone, and we feel a little fiery or a lot fiery. Okay. Plus, the type of estrogen that is being produced in the body starts becoming a different estrogen. So rather than what's called estradiol, you don't need to know the word, it moves over to estrone. You don't need to know that word. But what I want you to keep in mind is estrone is an estrogen that's much more single-minded. It's much more fierce. So during this chapter, I think of it as the caterpillar's gone into the chrysalis and we've turned to goo. And we're kind of like taking an account of what unfinished business is there? What goals did I have that didn't get accomplished? Am I happy in my relationship? Why did I choose this relationship? Why did I choose this career? Who do I want to be in my life? Whether or not you ever had children or want to have children, inevitably there is a mourning of our loss of ovulation. as the ovaries start slowing down a little bit. And whether we want to accept it or not, there's a new reality of aging that is there. Now, we're still young. We still have decades to go. And it is the experience of women as we progress through our 40s. There's this like body clock that becomes very real and very apparent. And as the ovaries start slowing down, we're ovulating less or less often. It's the adrenals that get the knock, knock, knock on the door. So the adrenals are generally there for fight, flight, or freeze. Adrenaline, cortisol production, helping us wake up in the morning, get going, handle our day, manage stress. And for a lot of the women that come into my space, we're high achievers, type A personalities, we're entrepreneurs and moms and caring for lots of people, serving greatly, founders, CEOs, and inevitably we have been pushing our adrenals, overdoing it, burning the candle at both ends. And so now in our 40s, when the adrenals are called on, hey, adrenals, ovaries are slowing down a little bit. They're not producing as much of the hormones. Hey, adrenals, it's your turn. And the adrenals like, I can't, I'm too tired. And so now the pronounced irritability is big. We feel kind of frustrated at aspects of our life that are unfinished. Any unfinished emotional baggage, old trauma, old things that worked or didn't work, they come alive. And we once again are that goo in the chrysalis. Now, the good news is there's an end to it. I'm not there yet. I'm not into menopause yet. But I work with a lot of clients and I've run the women's health in federally funded clinics and private practices. And I've been a midwife for decades. And so I've helped a lot of women through that chapter of menopause and beyond. And I hear lots of stories and it really does end. There becomes a stabilization again once we're through it. The hot flashes do go away. The sleep disturbances do go away. The irritability does go away. And we end up as the chrysalis breaks open and we emerge in this butterfly. Caterpillar and butterfly have the same exact DNA, right? It's just a different expression. A different expression based on time, based on lifestyle, based on nutrition, based on stress reduction. And so just know that this is that like churning time. And so no, your solution is not to go on antidepressants. Unless that's a big need of yours and I'm not going to fight against it, but it's not my go-to. My go-to is not anti-anxiety meds. My go-to also is not leading with, let's put you on bioidentical hormones. Bioidentical hormones have their place, but I say let's start with diet modification, lifestyle modification, simple personalized supplementation based on the right tests to really look underneath the hood. And then let's get into some solutions for you today so you can walk away going, okay, I have some things I can work with. So number one, from a testing perspective, what you want to find is someone that can order your Dutch Plus and your GI map. So it's generally a functional medicine provider. It's not just that they can order the test, they need to know how to interpret the test, okay? That's going to look at your hormones through your urine and your adrenals through your saliva, as well as your gut microbiome through your actual stool. Okay, it gives us a really nice snapshot to go, here's what's going on. You've got a lot of estrogen and it's being detoxified down the not so great pathway. So we need to help support bringing up some progesterone, okay? And your microbiome, that's a whole big conversation. But so from a testing perspective, the other thing is looking at your CRP, look at inflammation, right? Look at your vitamin D level and look at a comprehensive thyroid panel. So what that looks like in an ideal world is I want you to advocate, even if your provider says, no, I'll only order your TSH. It's no skin off their back. Just say, I'll pay for it if my insurance doesn't cover. I want a TSH. I want a free T4, FREE, the letter T, the number 4, a free T3, a reverse T3, and my thyroid antibodies. I want to get a comprehensive peek at what's going on with my thyroid. Okay? So let's talk about some solutions in regard to what goes in and out of your mouth, your eyes, and your heart. Okay? So if we compartmentalize that way, I hope you're going to remember something. Okay? I don't want you to listen through the lens of, I'm going to change it all at once because I don't want you to get overwhelmed, right? You get to start baby steps that then become consistent over time, and you celebrate the consistency and you celebrate your wins, and now it's become a new lifestyle, and then you pick up another baby step. Okay. So what goes in and out of our mouth? If you are someone who is really feeling the pronounced irritability, and often it's specifically during the PMS week, right? That week before you bleed, your fall time. Okay. The leaves are changing and falling. It's starting to get cold. The mushrooms are popping up. We want to really surround ourselves with a community of our tight-knit loved ones. Start slowing down a tad. And as we don't honor that, and if we're not, that's the time we want to eat warm foods, nice spices. And it's that time where we feel a little bit more fierce. We feel a little bit more irritable. So some simple things that you can change regarding what comes out of your mouth is please speak your truth. Speak your mind. Stand up for something that you really desire. It's okay if you've been told you're too much. It's okay if you grew up being told that women or children should be seen, not heard. I'm inviting you today to speak up. It will help your thyroid. It will help you be fully expressed. Let those emotions out. Regarding what's going into your mouth, lots of people do intermittent fasting. I am not a big fan for women in their 40s, unless you're in your ovulatory time. That's a time that your body is much more resilient. But during that PMS time, we really need to keep your blood sugars super, super steady. So what that means is eating within 30 to 60 minutes of waking, keeping the sugar and the refined carbohydrates and processed foods to limited or none in an ideal world. You're not going to like me to say this, but actually cutting out the caffeine, it's not serving you. There's other things you can do for energy, such as hydration, great green powders like spirulina, chlorella, inner light green powder, adding in lemon juice to your water in the morning, adding in extra cordyceps as an adaptogen that's great for stamina, okay? Working on getting better sleep in the evening. So we're not skipping meals throughout the day. We're getting quality fat, fiber, and protein every meal, and even some snacks. Can you look at every meal and go, all right, I've got at least 3 colors, ideally every color every day, okay? Now, you're going to finish your last caloric intake within 4 hours of going to bed. Here's where the intermittent fasting sneaks in. Because our metabolism slows down in the evening anyway, you're going to turn off the screens, turn off the snacking, turn off the alcohol in the evening. Alcohol, just 1 glass of alcohol can spike your estrogen by as much as 30%. So it sends you on the roller coaster even more. So when you're in that PMS week and you're like, I think I'm going to bite somebody's head off, and you want to grab that glass of wine to take the edge off, it's not the thing to do, okay? Some extra CBD oil instead, yes, yes. Some extra magnesium instead, yes, yes. Maybe chamomile tea, hops, lemongrass, maybe some melatonin in the evening, winding down, okay? It is a time, okay, so I'm going to stay focused. We're talking mouth right now. From a supplemental perspective, remember how I said the progesterone's starting to go down. There's a bigger gap between the estrogen and the progesterone, and the estrogen's on this roller coaster. So in our 40s, if you're looking for supplementation, yes to vitamin D as in dog. I take a 5,000 international unit a day, okay? Yes to encapsulated plant powders. My favorite is Juice Plus. I've been taking it for 17 years now. Crazy. Just a bunch of fruits, vegetables, and berries that are picked at their peak of ripeness, tested to make sure that they're organic and toxin-free. They're pulverized, dehydrated, and encapsulated. So I just swallow the capsules each day, and I know I'm getting in 30 different fruits, vegetables, and berries. Garden of Life is another great brand that tends to be plant-based. You will never hear me suggest a multivitamin. I don't think that we have a vitamin deficiency. I think that we have a whole food deficiency, okay? So if your body is needing specific micronutrients, maybe your body's needing iron. That doesn't mean you're going to go get an iron vitamin. In my world, that means you're going to eat extra dark leafy greens and red meat if you eat meat, prunes, raisins, seaweed, kidney beans, black beans. Do you see what I'm saying? or Floridex if you're looking for supplementation. That's just the energy. I'm going to stay focused on irritability and how we can support our hormonal well-being. The other supplements that you might want to just keep in your radar, I'm not suggesting them for you because I'm not your provider. If you would like to explore working with me, you're welcome to send me an email, maraya@marayabrown.com. I would like to actually look at your Dutch Plus test, look at your thyroid panel and see what's going on. And with that being said, a few supplements for you to just keep in the radar. Okay. If your body has excess estrogen, DIM, D-I-M, is a great supplement to help get that excess estrogen out, as well as eating a lot of cruciferous veggies. Okay. If it's in the later chapter of perimenopause and your estrogen is low, then what we're wanting is more phytoestrogens and potentially adding in Pararia mirifica or DHEA as a supplement. DHEA is a hormone precursor, and it converts to both estrogen and testosterone, as well as a little bit into progesterone. It's great for stamina, energy, libido, anti-aging, longevity, immune health. It's lovely. Starting out with like a 5 milligram, something like that each day. Then for the progesterone support, you can look up chaste tree berry or Vitex. I like to use that the second half of the cycle during what's called the luteal phase, so like your PMS time, and then maybe into the first day that you start bleeding and then stop. If you're going to try Vitex, it is a potent herb. I suggest giving it a good 3 months, really with any of these. When it comes to supplementation, diet modification, lifestyle modification, you want to give it time, all right? At least 3 months to really say, all right, I've given it a good concerted effort. Wild yam cream is another one. You just do like a dime size right at the bend of your elbow, the bend behind your knee each night before going to bed. And that helps bring that progesterone level up. You could do it all month long if you would like, but not when you're bleeding. For me, I prefer to once again do the progesterone during the luteal phase because that's the phase of a normal menstrual cycle that progesterone is the dominant hormone that's going on during that time. Okay, so in and out of your mouth. The other thing is hydrating well. Make sure that you're filtering your water. Making sure that it's not in plastic. Your food's not stored in plastic. If you're buying the big water jugs or bottled water, spend the extra money and have it in glass. Okay, we want to keep those endocrine disruptors out, the BPAs, and even if it says BPA free, we want it endocrine disruptor free, right? Because if instead it's sneaking in, it mimics hormones and then further throws off our hormones. The last thing I want to say regarding prescriptions is if you are on the pill or hormonal contraception, such as the mini pill, the patch, even the Mirena, if you're needing it for contraception, I think it's really important that women have ownership of whether or not they would like to get pregnant. And if that's important to you and it's working for you, great. I also just want to put in that little plug. You can listen back at the beginning. I think it was like in those first few episodes where I interviewed Dr. Sarah Hill. She wrote a book called Your Brain on the Pill. The estrogen and the progesterone that are coming from synthetic pharmaceutical hormones like that are actually throwing your adrenals into hyperdrive. And I hate to break it to you, but they're really not serving your foundational well-being. Bioidentical hormones are slightly different. So progesterone, not progestin. We're in a very different conversation, but I just wanted to put that in there that there are a lot of things that you can do, like I've already mentioned, and, cutting out the processed foods, eating an anti-inflammatory diet, all of this stuff. I did mention phytoestrogens, so Pararia mirifica being one of them. Some really benefit from taking a primrose oil supplementation, drinking red clover tea, eating quality soy that's organic and non-GMO. Okay. So I mentioned I was going to talk about our mouth, our eyes, and our heart, and then I'm going to finish this up. So our eyes, what is going in and out of your eyes? Okay. Are you allowing yourself to boundary set and filter the news and the social media people that you're following and what is coming in? Because it's either serving you or it's not. And particularly for the women in their 40s who are experiencing pronounced irritability, we have to really preserve our reservoir, all right? We have to protect our boundaries. I give you permission. I write you that prescription to be able to say no, and also to be able to say yes to the things that you're really longing for. And so if we filter out what our eyes are exposed to, right? And then in out of our eyes, through what mind's eye are we choosing to see the scenario, okay? If we can go, all right, I'm aware I'm in my fall time, my PMS time. I'm going to look at my body through a different mind's eye. I'm going to look at the scenario through a different mind's eye. I'm going to have the awareness that this is the time of the month I am more irritable. I'm going to create some separation. In my marriage, we're both on the same page. We know that I'm during that time. It's nothing against him. It's nothing personal. I need to have a little bit more quiet time. I'm going to create a little bit more separation. I'm going to consciously take a pause before I get frustrated that he moved the hand towels in the kitchen from the drawer near the oven to the other side of the kitchen. Right? And if I still feel like I don't want it to be there and I still feel irritated by it when I'm in my ovulatory week, that's the time when I'm going to bring up the conversation, because I'm more likely to do it from a loving, playful, resilient way. Okay. So I just think, through what mind's eye am I choosing to see the scenario? Where am I in my cycle? Have I slept well? Have I been keeping my blood sugar stable and eating well today? Did I overdo it on alcohol last night? Did I overdo it on caffeine? And just be really honest with myself. Okay. And then our heart. Are we doing the things that light our heart on fire? Okay. Each and every day, particularly for women in our 40s. Because there's this reckoning that's happening. We're taking an account. We go, gosh, I had these dreams and they've worked out, but they haven't worked out the way that I wanted, or I feel really disappointed, or I love this relationship. Why did I choose this relationship? I love this town. Why did I choose this town? What is it that I really want to do? What is my zone of genius? Who do I want to be? Oh my gosh, I chose to be a mom. Why did I do this? All that stuff is churning in the 40s. And so it's really important that we are actively doing things that we love, actively setting up time to be in nature and alone, time to go to tea with a girlfriend, time to just sit and be silent, right? We're allowing space to breathe, because what goes in and out of our heart is that much more important. And we are the company that we keep. We are the byproduct of the 5 people that we spend the most time with. And so to really use some discernment and say, all right, let me really take an inventory of my closest friends. Who am I tuning into? Do I feel depleted, or do I feel invigorated when I spend time with that person? And can I create some boundaries? If it's a coworker and you can't choose whether or not you're going to be spending time with them, can you put up your energetic shield so that it doesn't penetrate as much, particularly during the second half of your cycle? Because that is the time that we don't have as much resiliency. Okay. The viper is going to come out more swiftly. And the viper is important for you to listen to, particularly when you're bleeding. It's really important that you listen in to whatever it is that you want to make those rash decisions where you're going to sell your house, you're going to leave your relationship, you're going to quit your job, whatever it is that you feel called to do. Don't do it during that time. But I do ask you to listen, because your intuition is strong. Think about fall and winter. Okay. Winter is our bleeding time. It's a time to hibernate. It's a time when the ground is covered with snow. The animals are quiet. We go inside. We sit by the fireplace with a good cup of tea and a good book. And so what is going in and out of our heart? Who are we surrounding ourselves with? Are we doing what we love to do? And so I'm hoping this has offered you some solutions from the perspective of women in their 40s, more pronounced irritability. Hopefully you understand a little bit of what's going on hormonally. Hopefully you understand that we are very dynamic, ever-changing beings as women. And that's on a 28-day cycle. That's on a year-to-year cycle. That's in each 24-hour period. And the more that we honor that and make adjustments, and we preemptively prepare for the season of life that we're in each week of a 28-day cycle, and in our 40s, knowing this is a chapter where we're kind of goo in the chrysalis. And it's a spectacular time. A time of redefining. A time of taking into account what's worked, what hasn't worked, what do we want the next 40 years to look like? And I cheer you on. I'm there too. And it's brilliant. And what I notice is when there's moments like this last week, I just watch myself be so fiery with my husband. I just wanted space. And I realized I hadn't tracked. I've been traveling a lot. And oh, that's why I just started bleeding. And so I was right. It is time that I needed a little bit more space. I didn't need to be engaging and having conversations with him. I felt churning. I felt irritable. And what I really needed was just to be quiet and be with myself. And so the more that we can understand where we are in our cycle and where we are in decades and chapters of our life, we can preemptively be in that place of self-awareness and go, how beautiful. That's where I am. How spectacular. And then what comes next? When you come into my space, you get to learn more about what comes next. What comes next after that? And so hopefully as you've been listening, you got some great takeaways. Would love to hear from you. For those of you watching in Facebook, please do comment. Let me know if you have questions. Let me know if there was a big aha. How old are you? What is your experience? For those of you listening into the podcast, leave a review. What aspect of this do you feel seen? You realize, oh my gosh, I'm not alone. Can you take some of these solutions and put them into action? And which solutions are you going to put into action? And you're always welcome to send me a message. All right. Send me an email, maraya@marayabrown.com. If you'd like to, and you're curious about working with me and the work that I do, I have lots of different options. Anything from self-paced courses up to VIP programs where it's intensive, all one-on-one, in-person retreats, VIP days. There's a whole lot of options. And they range anywhere from, $2,000 up to $75,000, right? So there's a big range depending on your time and your commitment and your energy and your desire. And so I really encourage you just to reach out to me, check in, ask your questions, and I can point you in the direction of solutions because there are solutions out there. If you're someone that's not looking for just what I consider Band-Aid care, sure, you could go see your provider and just get another prescription. Maybe that's the solution you're looking for, and then there's another side effect from that prescription. I'm not opposed to prescriptions. Listen, I've had my prescriptive authority since 2007, and I've prescribed lots and lots of medications. But who I'm calling to is the ambitious woman who's up to big things in the world, and you're wanting to feel more spectacular. You're not wanting to feel so irritable. You don't want to feel so tired. You want to sleep better. You want your confidence rocking. You want your libido strong. You want your relationship solid. You want to have your self-care regimen dialed in so that you can pour out into the people, build the business, have the business coaches, but also have a health support, a health coach, so to speak. I don't consider myself a coach. I'm a women's health expert. I'm a nurse practitioner. I'm a certified nurse midwife. But in this setting, because I work with women all over the world, I get to be your women's health expert. I get to order your labs, really help you interpret them. And I always say I want to teach you to fish, not just give you a fish. So if this has been thought-provoking, eye-opening, reach out. I would love to support you along your journey, and particularly for the ambitious women in your 40s that are feeling the churning. Thanks for the hearts for those of you on Facebook. I love the hearts. If you're feeling the churning and you're in your 40s, reach out. I would love, love, love to see what I could do to support you. And with that, I'm appreciative of who you are. I'm appreciative of you chiming in and listening to the content that I bring. It is my passion in this life. I'm a midwife through and through, and now I get to midwife women through chapters of change. And for women between the age of 35 and 55, it's a big chapter of change, and it is a spectacular chapter. And I would love the opportunity to support you. So with that, until next time, y'all are awesome.
Thank you for listening to the Woman's Vibrancy Code. Connect with us and take the first step to transforming your energy, hormones, and libido at thewomensvibrancycode.com. Cheers to your zest and vitality. Make sure to follow for weekly power-packed value.